Hi, it's Barry Coombs from ComputerWorld and definetomorrow.co.uk. We're here at VMworld and I'm joined now by Tintri.
Hey, good to meet you. So, Darren Gross, I've been with Tintri for 3 months, so I'm the new boy on the block, and I've joined them to look after the EMEA channels. So, yeah, big role.
Fantastic.
Good stuff.
And we're putting you in front of the camera, we've got a bright light on you, so
Yep.
baptism of fire.
Absolutely.
So, it's been a really good conference for me. There's been a lot going on here. Obviously, there's been lots of cloud kind of announcements as VMware's trying to drive people as a strategy to the cloud.
Yeah.
The vendor hall is ever changing. What's really stood out to me this year is there's yet more storage vendors in that hall. I think we've seen some maybe not have such bigger stands as before, but it's for me, it's really the class of vendors that we're seeing there. There's storage vendors there, and it was 4 or 5 that I've never even heard of before prior to the event. So Tintri, you're more mature in terms of some of those startups.
I've been in the storage industry for 10 years, my first 10 years of my career in the storage industry, and then I moved out into security, so I've been out of it for the last 8 years. In looking for the next move, I looked at other security vendors or security solutions. Wherever you look, there's a lot of competition. So I look at the storage arena, yes, absolutely, you're right, there's an awful lot of competition. The one thing that stood out about Tintri, though, is how we differentiate for those virtual, the virtual environments, those virtual customers. And I think the important thing is what I'm seeing and how it's affecting the resellers is there's a lot more competition. Everyone's out there with the same AFA type solutions, faster, low latency, all that good stuff. But there's no differentiation. Where we come from is we give that differentiation down at the virtual machine level. So you've got control, visibility, you control the performance of each of those virtual machines rather than doing the old way of volumes, LUNs and all that sort of stuff. So what we're giving to the partners is the opportunity to reduce competition because we don't want to be over-distributed. We're working with a relatively small core focused set of partners, and that's allowing them to retain some good margin as well on what we do. So yes, you're right, very overpopulated. That's why it's important that partners sort of start and look at other ways to differentiate themselves as well.
And I think it is important to differentiate. If we go back sort of 2 or 3 years ago, looking at yourselves and Nimble, you had a great story in terms of making cost-effective performance devices that could really compete against the kind of big players in the market.
Yeah.
However, with the cost of SSDs coming down astronomically, it can be very difficult to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
And yes, in a bake-off, I'm sure you could be faster than X, Y, and Z, but it's got to that point where it doesn't really matter because we've got enough performance.
Yeah.
So having that extra layer of intelligence, being able to add more value is really, really important with what's going on. So what's the main conversations that you're having with on the stand here at VMworld? What are people asking for you? What are you kind of educating?
It's giving them that visibility down at the VM level, as I say. So old traditional storage ways of managing storage is you put your volumes, your LUNs in place, and you have to manage a group of virtual machines. What we give to customers, and very, very interesting to the CSPs and the MSPs, that's why they love Tintri, they become fanatical about us, is we give them that ability at a virtual machine level to monitor its performance. We can see if there's what we call a noisy neighbor, one that's consuming too much resource, we can tune that back. But also for a CSP, they can guarantee the performance of that machine, the quality of service to their end customers, which in a traditional storage environment they can't. Yes, we've got announcements coming out that we're going to be linking into S3. So again, being able to utilize more cost-effective storage on the back end of that. So for us, the way I look at Tintri, we're about the software. It's the software solution that sits on the back of an AFA box. We're not just out there pushing another AFA box, as I call it.
I think that's a really interesting and important strategy, really, because I think as people are starting to consider how do they move to the cloud, they're also trying to consider how do they secure their environments more. So what we're doing on-premise, we need to simplify it. If we're going to be implementing anything on-premise today, it does have to be simple.
Exactly.
And then people are looking for how they're going to do that journey for the cloud. So it's interesting what you say there is potentially in the future looking to work with AWS. And I think that's, in my opinion, going to be the kind of golden nugget for the storage market. That person that can seamlessly offer your storage on-premise and in the cloud at the same time is adding a huge amount of value.
At a virtual machine level as well, and that's the key thing. So we announced last week new replication technology that's literally one click at the virtual machine level. So you're not having to replicate a whole storage box or a whole array, you're just replicating that single VM. So if you've got different recovery point objectives, you can do that again, as I say, at the virtual machine level, not at the the bigger disk level, which no one else can do. Which is great.
For someone that's probably classed as a traditional storage vendor, as in you have a storage box and then the hosts, you're adding what almost sounds to be hyper-converged features at that VM level.
Kind of.
You're being able to manage and maintain something off a QoS and replication at an individual component level.
Exactly, yeah. So that you get a very clear snapshot and management view console of what's going across all of your virtual machines. So in reality, the view of it is you're more managing the virtual machines rather than managing the storage, and it's helping to maintain the performance of those, as I say, which is why we're so important to the CSPs that we work with, and they become fanatical about us, because they can then onward sell that quality of service feature to their customers.
You've got to, if you're in that kind of CSP or managed service provider space, you've got to have the knowledge that if you are putting multiple customers together, one isn't going to be disrupted by another. So that's really important.
Yeah. So we can cut down on the noisy neighbours, as we call it.
Indeed, brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much. Been really interested in learning about Tintri, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you. Good to meet you. Thanks very much.